Humans have nearly gone extinct before, not in myth, not in metaphor, in actual measurable genetic history. Around 70,000 years ago, the entire human population on Earth was reduced to somewhere between 1,000 and 10,000 people, a number smaller than most towns, a number so small that every human being alive today, every single one of us, is descended from that tiny group of survivors. We almost didn't make it, and almost nobody knows it happened. To understand how close we came, you have to go back further, much further. By 200,000 years ago, modern humans, Homo sapiens, had existed for roughly 100,000 years. We had spread across parts of Africa. We were tool users. We had language. We had fire. By any measure of the ancient world, we were doing well. And then a mountain exploded. Mount Toba, in what is now Sumatra, erupted approximately 74,000 years ago in the largest volcanic eruption in the last 2 million years. The explosion was so massive it ejected roughly 2,800 cubic kilometers of material into the atmosphere. To put that in perspective, the eruption of Mount St. Helens in 1980 ejected 1 cubic kilometer. Toba ejected 2,800 times that amount in a single event. What followed was what scientists call a volcanic winter. The ash and sulfur dioxide released by Toba spread across the globe, blocking sunlight for years, possibly decades. Temperatures dropped, forests collapsed, food chains broke down across entire continents. For the humans living through it, there was no explanation, no warning. The world simply darkened, grew cold, stopped producing food. The animals they hunted disappeared. The plants they gathered died. The rivers and lakes they depended on became unreliable. And they began to die. The genetic evidence tells the story that the archaeological record can barely see. When scientists study human DNA today, they find something unusual. Something that should not be there in a species that has existed for 200,000 years. Almost no genetic diversity. Humans are, by the standards of most animal species, genetically almost identical to each other. A single troop of chimpanzees in a single forest in Central Africa contains more genetic diversity than the entire global human population of 8 billion people. The reason is the bottleneck. When a population crashes, when it drops to a tiny fraction of its former size, genetic diversity collapses with it. The survivors carry only a small sample of the genetic variation that existed before. And when the population recovers, it recovers from that small sample. Every person alive today is descended from the survivors of Toba. Their DNA is our DNA. Their fears, their instincts, their physical adaptations, passed down through an unbroken chain of survival to the body you are living in right now. Where did they survive? The best current evidence points to the southern coast of Africa, a narrow strip of coastline where even during the volcanic winter the ocean continued to produce food. Shellfish, sea plants, marine life that didn't depend on sunlight the way land ecosystems did. A small group, possibly a few thousand people, clung to that coastline while the rest of the world went dark. They had no way of knowing if anyone else was left. They had no way of knowing how long the cold would last. They had no way of knowing if they were the last. For years, some scientists debated whether Toba actually caused the bottleneck. The timing is compelling, the genetic evidence and the eruption line up almost exactly, but the debate continues. What nobody debates is the bottleneck itself. It happened. The genetic evidence is unambiguous. At some point in the last 100,000 years, the human population crashed so severely that we nearly ceased to exist as a species. Whether it was Toba or a combination of Toba and other pressures, prolonged drought, disease, competition with other human species, the result was the same. The world came within a generation of containing no human beings at all. Think about what that means. Every language ever spoken, every civilization ever built, every piece of music, every scientific discovery, every work of art in all of human history, all of it depended on a few thousand people surviving on a coastline in Africa while the sky stayed dark. One generation less, one winter too long, One food source that failed at the wrong moment, and none of it happens. We are not the inevitable outcome of evolution. We are not the species that was always going to inherit the Earth. We are the species that almost didn't make it. That coastline in Africa is sometimes called the cradle of modern human behavior. Because it was there, in that desperate, compressed, survival-focused community, that something changed. The pressure of near extinction may have accelerated something. Forced cooperation, forced innovation, forced the development of the complex social behaviors that would eventually allow a small group of survivors to spread across the entire planet. We did not survive Toba because we were the strongest. We survived because we held together.